One Well, The Story of Water on Earth, written by Rochelle Strauss, illustrated by Rosemary Woods. One Well, The Story of Water on Earth. One well. Imagine for a moment that all the water on Earth came from just one well. This isn't as strange as it sounds. All water on Earth is connected, so there really is just one source of water, one global well, from which we all draw our water. Every ocean wave, every lake, stream, and underground river, every raindrop and snowflake, and every bit of ice and glaciers and polar ice caps is part of this global well. So whether you are turning on a faucet in North America, pulling water from a well in Kenya, or bathing in a river in India, it is all the same water. And because it is all connected, how we treat the water in the well will affect every species on the planet, including us, now and for years to come. Earth is the only planet that has liquid water and is therefore the only planet that can support life. You need water, and so does every other living organism, every person, every planet, and every animal. Without water, nothing can survive. The amount of water on Earth hasn't ever changed. It has been the same for billions of years. The water in the well. We live on a watery planet. Almost 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. This surface water is found in oceans, lakes, rivers, streams, marshes, even in puddles and the morning dew. There is so much water that if you look down at Earth from space, it would appear blue. But there is also water we can't see beneath the Earth's surface. This groundwater can be found just about everywhere. It fills the cracks in the rocks and the spaces between rocks, grains of sand and soil. Most groundwater is close to the Earth's surface, but some of it is buried quite deep. Water is also frozen in glaciers and polar ice caps, and there is water in the atmosphere. Every one of these water sources feeds Earth's one well. Where is the water on Earth? Oceans, ice caps and glaciers, groundwater, freshwater lakes, inland saltwater seas, moisture in the soil, water in the atmosphere, rivers. Yes, there is more water in the atmosphere and soil than in all of the Earth's rivers. Recycling water in the well. The water you drank today may have rained down on the Amazon rainforest 5 years ago. 100 years ago, it may have been steam escaping a teapot in India. 10,000 years ago, it may have flowed in an underground river. 100,000 years ago, it may have been frozen solid in a glacier. And 100 million years ago, it may have quenched the thirst of a dinosaur. The amount of water on Earth doesn't change. There's no more water now than when the dinosaurs walked the Earth. The same water just keeps going through a cycle over and over again. This constant movement of water is called the water cycle. During the water cycle, water evaporates from the oceans, lakes, rivers, ponds, and puddles, even from plants and animals. It rises into the air as water vapor. As water vapor rises, it cools into tiny water droplets. This is called condensation. These droplets form clouds. Gradually, clouds collect more and more water droplets. The average white cloud weighs about twice as much as a blue whale. When water droplets get too heavy, they fall from the clouds in the form of hail, snow, or rain. This precipitation returns to oceans, lakes, and rivers. It also seeps into the soil and down into the groundwater. Year after year, water continuously circulates through the water cycle. In 1 year, an area of rainforest the size of a football field pumps over 75,000 liters of water vapor into the atmosphere, more than enough to fill a backyard swimming pool. It takes about 1 million tiny water droplets to make just one raindrop. Why are the oceans salty? Rivers flow into the sea, collecting salt from rocks and soil and adding it to the ocean. As ocean water evaporates, the salt is left behind. How thirsty is a tree? On a summer's day, an average-sized birch tree can draw about 300 liters of water from the soil. That's almost enough water to fill 2 large bathtubs. Many plants depend on water to disperse their seeds. A coconut, the seed of a palm tree, can spend weeks, months, or even years drifting in the ocean before reaching land and sprouting. The plants you eat are mostly water. Tomatoes are about 95% water. Apples are about 85% water. Seeds are among the driest fruit. They contain only 5 to 10% of water. Plants at the well. The first plants on Earth began life in the water. About 450 million years ago, some were washed ashore. At first, they could live only in wet areas. Gradually, they developed root systems that allowed them to tap into water in the soil. Water is essential to plants. In fact, plants are mostly water. It's the water in their cells that give them their shape and form. Without it, they droop and shrivel. Water also helps plants make food for themselves. Plants use the sun's energy to change water and carbon dioxide into simple sugars that feed the plant. This process is called photosynthesis. Water then helps carry this food throughout the plant. During photosynthesis, plants also release water vapor into the air. Roots absorb water, which is carried to the stem. The stem acts like a water pipe in your house, moving water through the plant to the leaves. From the leaves, water is released back into the atmosphere. This is called transpiration. The water that is transpired is added to the cycle of water on Earth. Water is important to plants, but plants are also important to water. Plant roots anchor soil and stop it from blowing or washing into lakes and rivers. Leaves and branches trap rainwater, allowing it to seep slowly into the soil instead of flowing quickly away. And trees provide shade, which helps keep moisture in the soil. Plants depend on water from the well for survival, and the well depends on plants to help move water through its cycle. Without plants, the water cycle would be disrupted. Without water, plants could not survive. Animals at the well. Like plants, animals, including you, are mostly made of water. The water in animals is very important. It carries nutrients, helps digestion, removes waste, controls temperature, cleans eyes, and lubricates joints. Water habitats are also home to many of the Earth's animals and are where many animals find their food. Watery species such as fish, crabs, shrimp, and zooplankton are an important part of food chains around the world. A food chain is the link that connects animals and other species based on who eats whom. Without water-based species, food chains and food webs, collections of food chains would collapse, animals would starve. Animals not only need water to survive, they are also part of the water cycle. Animals add water to the atmosphere by breathing, sweating, peeing, and even drooling. The water you brushed your teeth with today may have been the spray of a beluga whale 10 years ago. Some of the wettest animals on Earth are the jellyfish. They are about 95% of water. Frogs and earthworms are about 80% of water, while dogs, elephants, and humans are about 70% of water. All animals need water to drink, even desert animals. They get much of the water they need from the food they eat. Animal life began in the ocean. Then, about 360 million years ago, some animals started to evolve. Their bodies began to change and they slowly adapted to living on land. Saltwater marshes are wetlands that occur where the land meets the sea. These habitats are home to the wide diversity of species from microscopic bacteria, fungi, and algae to fish, crustaceans, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Some rainforest frogs, insects, spiders, worms, and bacteria live their entire lives in the tiny pools of water that get trapped by the leaves of the bromeliad plant. How can fish live in frozen lakes? Water freezes from the top down, but it rarely freezes right through. The ice at the surface is like a blanket that keeps the water below from freezing. Coral reefs are found in the warm, shallow waters of oceans. They have been described as the rainforests of the sea because they are home to an incredible diversity of species. Watery habitats. A habitat is a place where an animal can find everything it needs to live: food, shelter, space, and water. Water is such an important part of an animal's habitat that if there isn't enough available, the animal will move away, even if all of its other needs are met. Most animals depend entirely on watery places such as oceans, lakes, and wetlands for their habitat. Freshwater habitats, lakes, rivers, streams, are home to about 12% of all the animal species in the world. Saltwater habitats, oceans, seas, and some saltwater lakes are home to 60% of all fish species, as well as many other species, including some mammals and reptiles such as whales, turtles, and sea snakes. Some of these animals live their whole lives in water and wouldn't survive out of it. Others, such as frogs, toads, and many insects, spend part of their lives in the water and part on land. Whether water is their habitat or just part of their habitat, animals could not survive without it. People at the well. Since the beginning of time, people have depended on water for drinking, for food, for bathing, and for watering their crops. Water has always provided a highway to move people and products from place to place. As cities and societies grow, so does their need for water. Today, water is essential in our homes, in industry, and in agriculture. At home, we use water for cleaning, cooking, drinking, flushing toilets, and bathing. But homes account for only 10% of all fresh water used. About 21% of the water we use goes to make everything from computers to cars. Water is used in hydroelectric plants to generate electricity and in petroleum plants to make gas. In factories, water is used to heat things up or cool things down and to wash away waste. Water vapor, steam, even runs machinery. Water is also an ingredient in many products such as lotions, shampoos, chemicals, and drinks. The remaining 69% of the fresh water we use goes into agriculture. Farms use huge amounts of water from crops and livestock. Look around. Almost everything you see was made using water. It took about 130 liters of water to make your bike. Water was used to grow and make the food you eat and the clothes you wear. Water was even used to make the paper for this book and the ink used to print the words. It takes about 185 liters of water to produce just one glass of milk. This includes the water the cow drinks, the water used to grow food for the cow, and the water needed to process the milk. About 147,000 liters of water was needed to make your family's car. A lot of water is required to produce the food you eat. Approximately 5,200 liters of water is needed just to make one fast food lunch, burger, fries, and a soda. In North America homes, the bathroom is where about 3/4 of all water is used. One flush of the toilet uses nearly 13 liters. Nearly a billion people around the world depend on fish as their primary source of protein. Thirsty? People drink an average of 2.5 liters of water a day. In your lifetime, you will drink the equivalent of a backyard swimming pool full of water. Lake Baikal in southeast Siberia contains almost 1/5 of all the fresh water on Earth. It's also home to the Baikal seal, one of the world's few freshwater seals. Approximately 1% of all water on Earth is in the atmosphere. If a tanker truck represents all the water on Earth, the water in the atmosphere would barely fill a third of a pop can. The Bering Glacier in Alaska is the largest glacier in North America. It's about 5 times bigger than the New York City and nearly twice as long